What's going on, guys? It's Red Bull Tanker, and welcome back to Axis and Allies 1914. This is turn 6 for the United States. Oh, where did I put my pointer? There's my pointer. And I dropped my pointer. 1 second, guys. I am sorry. Okay, sorry about that. All right, turn 6, the United States. Been quite an interesting turn since we last left off with the French. Starting off, we have, knocking over stuff. Starting off, we have Great Britain with 30 IPC. Once again, they bought a militia for Egypt, an infantry and an artillery for India, and then 3 infantry and 2 artillery for London. Combat this turn. First, well, I guess I won't say first, but they did try a round of combat in Ireland. The British did knock out a German infantry with no loss to them. Seeing the potential for a blunder from the Germans, who went out beyond their minefields, the British gathered their combined fleet to try and fight the Germans. And I kid you not, what a battle. So, out of all these British ships, there were 2 subs, 4 cruisers, and 3 battleships against the German Navy of 2 submarines, 3 cruisers, and 3 battleships. The British only got 1 hit. The Royal Navy royally did not. The Royal Navy royally screwed up their combat that turn. They got no hit, or they got 1 hit and damaged a German battleship, while the German return fire killed a British sub and damaged the 3 battleships. Fearing that they were going to continue to get diced, the British fell back into Sea Zone 9, and is currently licking its wounds. And then finally, the British did walk into Angola from South Africa, so the Brits gained a +1 for taking Angola. And hopefully we're about to see the end of the German military. Hopefully the Allies will be seeing the end of the German military here in Africa. And then at the end of the turn, the Brits collected 31. However, they did -8 because they did not launch a mandatory offensive on the Western Front. So the Brits will have 23 to spend next turn. All right, coming down to the Ottomans for 21. I'm just going to handhold this. 21. The Ottomans bought 4 infantry and 2 artillery in Constantinople and saved 1 IPC. Excuse me. Combat. They finished off the Brits in Mesopotamia. They killed that last remaining British infantry, and the British infantry did not get a hit. And then on combat, they consolidated forces here in Jordan, moved. They reinforced. No, they didn't. Did they? No. Yes, they moved some forces up to Bulgaria. These guys from Ankara moved into Mesopotamia. And at the end of the turn, they collected 23 plus the one they saved for 24. Coming over to Italy, Italy had 16 IPC to spend. It once again bought 2 infantry, an artillery, and a fighter. Let me get in a little closer. It did do 1 round. It did do 1 combat. It did move its army into Triolia against the Austrians. Didn't go very well. They killed 7 Austrian infantry, though the counter fire was murderous for the Italians. They ended up losing a fighter and 10 infantry. So the Italians were hurt in their advance into Triolia. And then at the end, after deploying in Piedmont, they collected 17 IPC. All right, let's go over to the Americans. All right, the U.S. with 26 IPC. Now that we are one turn closer to the U.S. automatically joining the war for 1917, the U.S. did decide to make some purchases. The U.S. is buying an artillery and 3 transports and saved 4 IPC. And with nothing else to do, the Americans will immediately just deploy those forces. Oops, no, I need you in the sea, not on the land. All right, so that is the Americans. And then we will come over here to do the income increase, which should, hopefully the Americans get lucky. All right, let's see what they roll. 3. All right, so the U.S. will go from 16 to 19, and then next turn when they join the war, they will go up the 1 IPC to their wartime, to their full wartime economy. So they will collect 19 plus the 4 they saved. They will have 23 IPC for next turn. All right. Well, I think that is pretty much it for turn 6. Oh, wait. Hold on. It's the end of turn 6. So, I mean, with it being the end of turn 6, just kind of looking at the map, a lot of moves that can be made by everybody in the coming turns, especially now that as we get into turn 7, we have to do a roll, or we have to do a random event roll. And that random event roll, unfortunately, is going to be for me as the French. We do have the French mutinies that we do have to roll for. And just to remind everybody what will happen with the French mutinies. So we will roll a d6. On a result of 6, the mutinies do not occur. On a 5 or 4, the French cannot attack in Europe. They cannot attack or do a non-com. They can't do attacks or non-combats in Europe for 1 turn, and they lose 1 infantry from one of their armies here on mainland Europe. That does exclude, the mutinies are excluded from, say, their forces in Albania and their forces in Africa. They may still move. France is only paralyzed in mainland or basically paralyzed here on the Western Front. Okay, then on a result of 2 or 3, the French may not attack or do non-combats for 1 turn. They will lose 2 infantry and an artillery. And then finally, if the French are unlucky enough to roll a 1, they will not be able to do moves for 2 whole turns, and they will lose 4 infantry and 2 artillery. So we shall now roll for the French mutinies and pray for the French. Let's see how bad it goes. Oh, and the French lucked out. There were no mutinies. So France is not going to be paralyzed this turn in Europe. So France will be able to continue the game as normal. So that is going to be it for this video. And I will see you guys next time for France turn 7. So until then, guys, as always, take care.